Hey you, Chris here.
And Cassie here with you. Okay, let's unpack something that, well, it might just change how you think about your future a bit. Did you know the average American might only have a surprisingly short period, barely over a year, on average, of good health after reaching the typical retirement age of 65?
It's quite a statistic. And what's fascinating here is the data that reveals this potential sort of hidden danger of waiting until 65 to retire. We're looking at the intersection of global health trends and, when people in the U.S. actually stop working.
Exactly. We've pulled together some really eye-opening information for you. Our sources include data directly from the World Health Organization.
Right, the WHO data.
Insights from health data analyst Jeff Nobbs, and some pretty revealing Gallup surveys tracking retirement ages right here in the United States.
Yeah, Gallup's been tracking this for a while. And if we connect this to your life, what we're aiming to do in this deep dive is give you a clear understanding of something truly crucial without, overwhelming you with just numbers. We want to explore how our retirement age lines up with our healthy years and, well, what that really means for your well-being and maybe your financial future too.
Absolutely. Our mission today is pretty straightforward. Understand this relationship between retirement age and healthy life expectancy in the U.S., really dig into what it implies for you.
For the listener, yeah.
And then talk about some actionable strategies, things you can actually do to plan for a longer, healthier, and hopefully more fulfilling later life. So let's start by looking at healthy life expectancy around the world. Where does the U.S. fit in?
Okay, so Jeff Nobbs, this analyst, he took the World Health Organization's data and presented it in a really accessible way. Basically a chart ranking countries by the age people on average, start to see their health decline. And what immediately jumps out is where the U.S. sits on that list, or rather, where it doesn't sit.
Yeah, it's definitely not where you might expect for, a developed nation like ours. In fact, several other countries are significantly ahead of us, way ahead in terms of healthy years.
We're talking about places like Japan, leading the pack with a healthy life expectancy around 74.1 years.
74, wow.
And Singapore at 73.6, South Korea right there at 73.1.
So the top spots are like East Asian countries mainly.
Some of them, yeah. But then you also see Switzerland, 72.5 years, Cyprus, Israel, both around 72.4,
okay.
Spain, France at 72.1, even Iceland and Italy are up there, around 72 and 71.9 respectively.
Right, so a mix of European countries too, all hovering in the low 70s for healthy life expectancy.
Exactly, which, raises some big questions about what they're doing differently. Public health, lifestyle, maybe societal structures. It's complex.
For sure. But the main point for us right now is, where are we? Where's the U.S. in this ranking?
That's the kicker. The U.S., we landed just 66.1 years.
66.1.
Yep. 66.1 years. That's the average age, according to this data, when people in the United States can expect to see a notable decline in their health.
Just think about that for a second. 66.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Well, considering that the, let's call it traditional retirement age in the U.S. has often been thought of as 65.
Right. That's the number everyone kind of aims for or used to.
This data suggests that on average, Americans might only have about 13 months, just over a year of good health after they stop working.
13 months. Well, it's a surprisingly short period to enjoy what should be your hard-earned retirement, isn't it?
It really is. It's quite sobering when you put it like that.
It is. Okay, so to really understand this potential mismatch, this gap, we need the other piece of the puzzle. When are Americans actually retiring?
Exactly. And that's where those Gallup surveys you mentioned, the ones from 2016 to 2022, they give us some crucial insights.
What do they show? Are people retiring at 65?
Well, it's interesting. Their surveys reveal some shifts. First off, it's fascinating how few people retire really early, like in their 40s. It's tiny, like 1%, maybe 2%.
Okay, not many retiring super young. Expected, maybe?
And even in the 50 to 54 age range, it's still a pretty small slice. Only around 6% leaving the workforce then.
So most people are working into their late 50s at least.
Definitely. And it seems the trend of working longer is actually gaining steam. The data shows that for the 55 to 59 age group, the retirement rate has dropped.
Dropped? How much?
Yeah, it went from almost 20% back in 2007 down to just over 10% in the more recent surveys.
Wow, so nearly halved for that age group. More people are staying in their jobs through their late 50s.
That's the picture, yeah. So putting these pieces together, we see this pattern. People are working later. The biggest group, around 32%, they are retiring between 60 and 64. But even that number is down from 41% in the past.
So fewer retiring even in their early 60s now. Where are they going?
Still working. Seems like it. Because then you have almost a third, nearly 1 in 3 Americans still working between the ages of 65 and 69.
Okay, so that directly overlaps with that average healthy life expectancy age we just talked about, 66.1.
Precisely. And it doesn't stop there. You've got 17% still working between 70 and 74.
17%.
And an astonishing 12% are still working at age 75 or older.
Goodness. So people are definitely working longer, either by choice or necessity, I suppose.
It's likely a mix of both. But let's bring these two key pieces of information together now. We have a healthy life expectancy in the U.S. hovering around 66.1 years.
Okay.
And we have a large and growing number of Americans retiring right around or even well after that age.
Right.
This is the core of the issue. This is that potential hidden danger we mentioned at the start.
So the danger is spending your retirement unhealthy.
There's a significant risk, that many people might be spending a considerable chunk of their retirement years dealing with health problems, not really enjoying the freedom they worked for.
And that really makes you pause and think about your own future, doesn't it? Like when you picture your retirement, do you imagine just a brief spell of feeling truly healthy and active, maybe just that 1 year? Or are you hoping for, something more substantial? Decades, maybe.
It's a really personal question. This directly affects you, the listener.
Yeah.
What are your hopes and dreams for retirement? Does this prospect of potentially limited healthy years, does that align with what you want?
Probably not for most people.
Probably not. So this raises the vital question. What can you actually do about it? What proactive steps can you take? And the good news is there are strategies, things you can start thinking about, maybe implementing now.
Okay, like what? What's the first step?
Well, the first, and you could argue it's the most fundamental, is prioritizing your health right now.
Health over wealth, as they say.
Exactly. We heard that phrase, and it really rings true here. Your health is genuinely a more valuable asset than your financial wealth in the long run. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have your health.
Right, you can't enjoy it. So what does prioritizing health look like in practice?
It's about consciously investing your time, your energy, and sometimes your money into staying well. This involves making informed choices about, say, your diet, maybe choosing nutritious foods over cheap, convenient fast food more often.
Cooking at home more, maybe?
That could be part of it, sure.
Yeah.
Finding ways to eat well consistently. And physical activities, of course.
The exercise piece.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to mean becoming a marathon runner overnight. It's about incorporating regular movement, getting in some cardiovascular exercise, getting your heart rate up a couple of times a week can have a huge impact long term.
And weights, strength training.
Definitely important too. Maintaining muscle mass as we age is so crucial for staying mobile, independent, preventing falls, all of that.
Okay, so health is paramount, makes sense. What else? What about the money side?
Right, because you can't ignore that either. Beyond the critical focus on health, financial planning becomes maybe even more important in this context. It's not just about having enough saved to retire at 65. It's about maybe exploring the possibility of achieving financial independence earlier.
Like retiring at 55 instead. Is that feasible?
For some, potentially, yes. If that aligns with your health goals and, crucially, your financial situation allows it, it means planning differently. Maybe saving more aggressively. The expert we consulted, he highlighted some pretty foundational principles for building financial security. The first one is dead simple, but essential. Consistently spend less money than you earn.
Obvious, but hard for some?
Apparently so. It might sound obvious, but get this. Over half of Americans earning over $100,000 a year don't actually save any of it.
Wow, really? That's surprising.
It is. So savings is just the bedrock you have to save. And then critically, you need to invest those savings wisely.
Okay, investing. And there were those 3 secrets mentioned, right? With a bit of humor.
Yeah. The 3 secrets to wealth building. Spend less than you earn, own 1 house, and have 1 spouse.
Right. The last 2 are maybe a bit tongue-in-cheek, but there's a point there.
I think the underlying message points towards financial stability. Avoiding big financial drains like perhaps multiple costly divorces, or constantly upsizing houses beyond your means. Stability helps you build wealth.
Makes sense. Okay, so save, invest. What about how to invest? People get overwhelmed by stocks and bonds.
Yeah, and that's a key point. When it comes to investing those savings, remember, asset allocation.
Meaning like the mix of stocks versus bonds.
Exactly. How you divide your portfolio between different types of investments. Studies suggest that this decision, the allocation, accounts for something like 90% of your investment success over time.
90%.
Really?
Not picking the hottest stocks.
Nope. Contrary to popular belief, it's mostly about the allocation, much more than trying to pick individual winners. Think of it as balancing your potential for growth, which stocks usually offer, with stability, which bonds tend to provide. Getting that mix right for you is key.
That's a really powerful statistic. It takes some pressure off trying to be a stock market genius, maybe.
It should. And it underscores the importance of having a well-thought-out investment strategy, one that's tailored to your individual goals, how much time you have, and importantly, your tolerance for risk.
Which is where professional help might come in.
Absolutely. This is where seeking guidance from a qualified financial professional can be invaluable. They can help you create that personalized plan. And maybe just as importantly, they can help you stick to it, especially when markets get volatile and emotions might tempt you to make rash decisions.
Good point. Keeping a level head during downturns is crucial.
Definitely. And finally, there's this sort of sense of urgency to consider here.
Urgency? How so?
Well, when you really think about it, after age 60, based on that healthy life expectancy data, the average person might have less than 1,000 weeks of healthy, active time ahead.
Less than 1,000 weeks. Wow.
It sounds like a lot, but it's a finite window, a relatively short one in the grand scheme of things. And that makes it really crucial to be intentional, thoughtful about how you choose to live those years, what really matters to you.
That really puts things into perspective. It's not just about planning for retirement income, but planning for how you'll spend your healthy time. And sort of related to that, on a personal level, it seems wise for you, the listener, to consider your own current health.
Right. And your family's medical history, too.
Yeah, like the example we heard about family history of heart issues. Knowing any predispositions you might have can really inform both your health choices now and your retirement planning later.
It's all connected. Your health, your finances, your timeline.
So let's try and wrap this up. To recap our deep dive today, the data, it reveals a pretty significant point, doesn't it?
It really does. The main thing is this contrast. The relatively low healthy life expectancy here in the U.S. compared to many other developed nations.
66.1.
Combined with this clear trend of Americans retiring around that same time or even quite a bit later.
Yeah.
And taken together, this really just underscores the importance, maybe the necessity of actively prioritizing both your health, starting now, and your financial well-being, with maybe a new perspective on timing.
It's about being proactive, not just letting things happen.
Exactly. Taking control of what you can control.
So here's a final thought for you to chew on, maybe discuss with family or friends. Knowing this information, knowing about this potential gap, what adjustments, if any, might you consider making? Could be to your current lifestyle, your health habits, or maybe your future retirement plans, all to maximize those healthy, fulfilling years you hope for.
That's certainly food for thought.
It really is. Thanks for diving deep with us. Please like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell for more real talk on hot, viral topics. Tell us what topic you want us to deep dive on in the comment section. Bye, everyone, and see you again in our next podcast.